What is going on, team, and welcome back along to the channel. Today we've got something slightly different from what we've been looking at in recent videos, but this is something we've been doing very heavily on stream. If you've not checked out any of the streams yet, you should do so. We are streaming Monday, Wednesday and Friday, along with all of the remaining Rugby World Cup matches for live commentary and live chats as well. So if you do want to hang out, help out with fantasy, and of course watch some rugby, come and join us in the links below. Of course, we're on Twitch and we're on YouTube as well, so you can come and hang out, say hi, and have a chat with everyone else who does join. Now, fantasy rugby has been exploding during the Rugby World Cup, and of course we've been taking part right since the very beginning. We've been in there, and each and every week, on each and every stream on Wednesday, we've been redoing our team, rejigging, rechanging, mixing things up, and throwing players left, front and centre, along with a lot of you guys who already come and hang out. So today, we're going to have a little look at what my team looks like for the up-and-coming quarterfinals. For you guys that don't join on stream, what are you doing? Come and hang out so you'll know what our team looks like, and if you want to copy along or take some hints and tricks, you can do so from us as well. We also run a Discord channel where everyone throws on all of their fantasy team tricks and tips and hints throughout the week as we try and catch up with Mr. Martins himself. Yayan, you know you're talking about you, Yayan. You're the man leading the league, and if you want to get the best, you've got to take on the best. He's leading. You can always join in and try and topple our number one player. Links are all in the description, but let's not beat around the bush. Let's get straight to it and have a look at my team for the quarterfinals of the Rugby World Cup fantasy competition. So we do still have a couple of teams yet to be named, most notably is South Africa and France, but also England and Fiji are yet to chuck their teams out as well. But I think we're pretty safe in what we've selected into who is going to be picked for this up-and-coming quarterfinal weekend. So we'll kick things off where we only have one confirmed player for the weekend's action, and that goes with the Argentinian Thomas Gallo, who is wearing that number, well, he's wearing number 3 for us, but he's alongside a front row that also features a Fijian in Mr. Tagi, and of course, we can't go past Bongi himself, Mr. Mbanabi, who will be wearing that number 2 jumper, hopefully for South Africa this coming weekend. I mean, let's be honest, it's either him or it's Dion Freddy, right? And they're not going to put that part-timer hooker in. They'll be starting Bongi. I think we're pretty safe with that going into this weekend's action. So that's my look at a little front row. Tagi's been very good for the Fijians over the last couple of rounds. I've got him a couple of times now, and alongside the big Argentinian, he's starting. Can't go past him either. And I expect Bongi to play, I think, a key role, because I think South Africa against France will go very much for a forward dominant game, especially early on, looking for that maul, and I think that's where Bongi could cash in. Maybe a try, maybe 2 Bongi. You know, it would be good Bongi if you could chip in for us in this coming weekend. Moving into the second row, we've got the defensive powerhouse, that is Will Rowlands, wearing the second row jersey. Alongside him is Marcos Kramer. Now, I've gone with a build that I've tried to go 2 players from each team. And, of course, with 8 teams, you're going to miss one country out getting just 1. But I have tweaked this just slightly from the side you guys would have seen on stream this morning. We did stream this morning. It is Friday, of course. And I have tweaked it slightly just leading into the weekend. But Will Rowlands, one of 2 Welshmen, and of course Kramer, the second Argentinian, of course plays in the back row, so it's almost like you're getting a 4th back rower without that liability. Now we don't have Martins, do we, Yayan? We don't have Martins anymore, so we've got to pick someone else. Marcos Kramer, he's my man to do the job. He's not been superb, he's been solid yet unspectacular. So if I can get a good 20-30 points out of him, I'll be pretty happy. Will Rowlands, on the other hand, great start to the competition against Fiji. Quiet since, of course, against Portugal didn't play. Australia, not too much of an involvement there. But, of course, big game against Georgia as well in that final pool stage. Now, the back row. This is where there's some real talent you can chip into if you want to cash in on some points. Personally, I've gone with my second Welshman, Jack Morgan, the captain. I think he's a great little player, underrated almost heading into this World Cup. Great defender, great breakdown worker, and just all around the park, sort of good all-round back rower for this Welsh side. Partnering him, good points as well, will be the big efforts of Artie Savia. Now, I didn't have him initially in my side, but you just can't leave Artie out. He is just such a phenomenal player. Powerful, disruptive, dominant. And I think against a very good Irish side this weekend, the All Blacks are going to need every single little piece that he has to offer. consistently in the points. Of course, didn't play against Uruguay, but there we go. Up against Ireland, he is going to be massively key for the All Blacks. My last back rower is going to be Courtney Lawes. Sensational start to the tournament for Lawes. Up against Argentina, I thought he was magnificent. Probably didn't garnish the points he deserved. And when you look at England, it's hard to pick anyone else from this English side because they're all pretty average, especially when you look into that back line. There's not much excitement happening out there. Even against Fiji, I think if they want to win this game, they're going to have to look to that forward pack to especially do the hard work. And I do like the likes of Pianero as well, but I decided to swap him out for Adi Savia. Hopefully, I don't regret that decision. But Courtney Lawes, for now, you are my man for the English jersey. Now moving into the back line, this is where things get really, really exciting. Number 9, we've gone with the incredible Kuruvoli from Fiji. Now question marks as to whether he will start, whether he'll come off the bench or not play at all. That one is one that is kind of 50-50. But I think when you got Frank Lamani, another one who's very much in that mix, the same sort of stead, or you could go for the third Welshman and Gareth Davis, who was also around the same sort of points. You could chop and change based on those selections. But for now, leading into Fiji's team being named, I'm going to stick with my bird Kuruvoli, who was very good against Australia. Not so good leading up past that, but of course, we'll back him to get the job done, especially against the English, right? Right? What a team. Step it up, Kuruvoli. Get that job done. Speaking of stepping up and getting the job done, none more though than Johnny Sexton. We've splashed the cash on the Irish fly half. The talisman we've seen against Scotland in that last pool game, that he is a key part of how Ireland play. Things fall apart when he falls away, and that could be very much an indicator for this weekend. We'll see him, I think, play 80 minutes or near to it at least before he gets changed. Leading into those end stages of the game, they're not going to risk taking him off if the All Blacks are within a striking distance, or especially if the All Blacks are leading. He's been very good throughout the tournament, as you'd expect. It's Johnny Sexton. He's kicked well, he's directed well, he's run his little wraparounds well. That's about all he does. The rest of the team takes care of itself. But I think he's going to be good. I think both sides are going to look for kicks, especially Ireland. They will look for the sticks. They'll take threes on offer, and he's the man to get that job done, which is why I've also chucked on that triple goal kicker as well. I'm tossing up between him and Ramos, but we'll get to Ramos a little bit later. Moving into the midfield now, and I've gone for a bit of a mix of an All Black and a former New Zealand player. Yeah, you know where I'm going here. Rieko Ioane and Bundy are key. Rieko Ioane's had a pretty quiet tournament, I think by his standards especially. Still, consistently when he plays, 38, 43, 51. He's been good and he's got a lot of points, but he's not really stood out the way that we'd expect a player like Rieko Ioane to actually stand out. He's expensive, but he could be a big game breaker, and this against a very good midfield of this Ireland side, I think he's going to be very, very important. His partner in midfield is one who's been, let's be honest, the standout of the Rugby World Cup. Bundy Aki has been one of the players of the tournament. Amazing points versus Romania. Okay, not a difficult task, I should say. But then to back it up against Tonga, very well against South Africa, and of course Scotland as well. Consistently in the points, which is very good for a fantasy team member. Again, that midfield going to be so key for Ireland and for New Zealand. Both sides will need to excel. So why not take a little bit of both? Best of both worlds, right? Now the outside backs. These are the boys that are going to get us points, right? So we've got to go with the big bickies. And you may notice there's no Frenchman in this team yet. Well, that's about to change. Let's hold them off, though, for just a moment. No Mark Talia in the All Blacks team this week, which is fine because I wouldn't select him anyway. But Will Jordan is the guy to do the job. Of course, Lester Fainga'anuku starting on that left wing for the All Blacks this weekend. That means Will Jordan has all that responsibility to be that really skatey sort of finisher, that elusive, agile finisher that we know he does so well. Of course, it's a game we should expect him to play 80 minutes, barring, of course, that injury. The changes don't really revolve around the All Blacks outside backs, especially the wings. Probably see a change of the fullback, McKenzie, Barrett, Moanga. Somewhere they'll switch those three guys around, one going off and the other two carrying on. But your wings, barring again injury, should stay well the same. He's not been outstandingly good, struggled against France, which was a really testing game, but of course against Italy and Uruguay he was outstanding, which would you expect any less out of a player of his calibre? Now, the Frenchman, this is big, it's kind of big, right? This is massive. Captain Damien Penaud, he is incredible, an absolute incredible performer. Now he is the man that I picked to actually be the leading try scorer of the tournament. Before the tournament started, yes, it's on my predictor. You can check it out. It's locked in and it's done. And he's doing it pretty well too, isn't he? He's here. He's at the stage now of the quarterfinals. Should they beat South Africa, he surely will be favourite to go on at least to the final and get themselves a try or even 2 more. Of course, got that massive round versus Namibia where he racked up 166 points. Almost as good as my boy Darcy Graham, but not quite. Darcy still beat you. Damien, Darcy still beat you. But again, very good against the All Blacks. His real test was that game. He excelled. Can't go past that. Big against Italy, massive against Namibia, didn't play against Uruguay. So all in all, he's been phenomenal every single game. Now we talked about kicker and we talked about Sexton and whether he should take that triple goal kicker or do we give it to this man? Yes, Ramos is a fantastic talent. Superb goal kicker, loves to join in the attack and have some fun as well. Consistently getting points. Again, if he stays injury free, it's a position I do expect he will play most, if not all, of this match. They like to swap again like the All Blacks with Jalabert and Jamanier. Those guys swap on with fullback, and of course Ramos swapping with the other two, where they will eventually figure out and work out. I guess it depends who's playing well. And of course we've always got that big contentious issue of that number 9 jumper for France. That is mind games. South Africa, France, they are playing the thinking game on their selections there. I'm not entering that little tickle bout with Dupont. I'm staying right out of it. And I'm instead going with Ramos and Pinot to do my job. I'm expecting Ramos, if he picks up the 50, 60, 70 pointer, I'll be stoked. Absolutely elated with that. So that is the state of the game for me. Picking some big games from some big players coming into these Rugby World Cup quarter-final matchups. Of course, we have England and Fiji. That's one of the games, and that's on the Monday for me, or the Sunday night for you guys, alongside France and South Africa. They've also got Wales taking on the Argentinians, and then Ireland versus New Zealand. That's your last 4 games of the quarterfinals. Well, your only 4 games of the quarterfinals. The last 8 teams before we go down to just 4 teams. Next weekend, semi-finals. The rules change. We get more players and more points, and everything's all a bit more exciting. I'll be back again for that one as well, so you know who I'm picking to do the jobs in the quarterfinals. But that is a look at my team heading in to the quarterfinals of the Rugby World Cup for my fantasy. Of course, we are running a league for our fantasy as well, so if you want to get involved, you can do so right here. There'll be a link in the description. You can come and join in if you're not already in it. I'm doing okay. I'm 9th in the league. We're ticking up towards 40 people involved now as well. But of course, at the top, it is Jan, Mr. Van der Sheep, who is leading the charge. We've got to give him a shout out because he was the one. He really did expose Mr. Martins nice and early from Portugal, and he's helped us all out. I can guarantee you that with his great selection. Sitting, what are you, in 500th in the world when we were streaming this morning? So he is the one to catch. TC3 right behind him as well, leading that charge at the top of our little group. You can join if you like as well, and of course don't forget, join us on streams because we really give all the hints and tips out there, and especially when Yayan's on, we get all the good tips. And if we want to get in the top 500, that's where you got to go. And that does about sum us up for the fantasy team preview for this weekend's action. Of course, if you want to know predictions, it's pretty simple. We have 4 games coming up this weekend, and I can show you right here, right now, what my predictions will be heading into this round. We can flip that straight over there for you. Look at it. Look how on the ball we are here with some action in motion. But we are going with Wales to beat Argentina, New Zealand to beat Ireland. We're going with Fiji to beat England. Oh yeah, you better believe it. And then finally, we are going with the South Africans to beat France. Could I be 100% wrong? Yes. Is it possible that all 4 of these matches could go the complete opposite way to these picks? Yes. So if you guess completely opposite, you're just as good a chance as being right as I am as well. That's how good this Rugby World Cup is leading in to these quarterfinals. So of course, let me know your thoughts, who you've got in your fantasy team. Join the Discord, leave your picture of your fantasy team in there if you want to share it and get advice from everyone else in there, like a lot of people already do. It's a great little place. We've got all sorts of stuff happening in there as well. We're also jumping on some fantasy for the Premiership and the URC alongside our good mate Bears Gamer. So if you want to join in with me and him, go and join our leagues as well for that. But for this one, let's go to the All Blacks. Let's have a great weekend. It is quarterfinal time at the Rugby. And if you want to have a chat during the games or even between, come and join us on YouTube and on Twitch, or either which you'll prefer. Come and say hi, have a chat, and of course talk some rugby with everyone else who joins us in there. That's all from me today. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. Hope you're enjoying the Rugby World Cup and, of course, the content we're bringing out on the tournament as well. And I'll see you all for plenty more over the weekend. Until then, thanks for watching and take care.